Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings for Wednesday, March the 15th. We have a 7-game slate for Wednesday, so another mid-sized slate. The start of this week, we've had like 7 games, 8 games, and 7 games today. So another 7-game slate. We're going to go game by game, guys. We're going to talk through each one of these 7 games, give you guys kind of a quick breakdown of the slate, what I do like, taking a first look on Tuesday night. But as always, before we get started with the breakdown, if you guys are new to the channel, you have not yet, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. And also, check out PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks. You can use my promo code Noah. When you do sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. And for those of you that have never heard about PrizePicks, they are a player prop site. Very simple and easy to use. You're just taking more or less on a player's projection. You can see some of the projections that they already have posted for Wednesday's games. If there's any props that stand out to you, you just take more or less. It's as simple as that. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 6 picks, and you can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. It's a lot of fun. I know a lot of you guys already play over there, but if you're not on PrizePicks yet, get signed up. Use that promo code Noah when you do sign up, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But let's go ahead and talk through Wednesday's 7-game slate, and we'll start off with the first game of the night, the Grizzlies and the Heat. So for Miami, we'll start off on the Miami side here. Nothing really important to talk about on Miami news-wise except for Kyle Lowry's status. Lowry is questionable for this game. He was questionable for their last game and did wind up playing. So I'm assuming that Lowry, I'm assuming he'll play here, but we'll have to keep an eye on this. I think they've been bringing him off the bench the last few games. I'd assume he continues to come off the bench if he plays. I don't think he's really going to be DFS viable, but obviously if he's out, that does benefit guys like Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Gabe Vincent as well. I don't love this matchup against Memphis, and the price tags on these Miami guys don't make them look super appealing today. But like Jimmy Butler's been playing great lately. He's had a massive role. He's been playing huge minutes, been stuffed in the stat sheet. You can always play Jimmy in tournaments, but I don't think this is the best spot for him. I'm not like in love with Jimmy today. Same could be said for Bam and Hero. I will say that for Bam, I know Memphis has actually kind of been bad defensively against centers ever since they lost Steven Adams. So like the matchup for Bam I think is actually kind of good. He really struggled against Memphis earlier this year, but I think that was when Steven Adams was healthy. So don't mind Bam, but again, like there's nothing that looks super appealing for Miami today. Don't see too much to like here. So let's go ahead and talk about the other side of this game now with Memphis. And for Memphis, we know there's still no John Morant. There's still no Steven Adams. Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., Tyus Jones, these guys are all going to continue to benefit without Ja, without Adams. They're going to continue to run the offense through these 3 guys. Bane at 8K. Feels priced about right here, but he's going to have a big role. He's going to play big minutes here. His assist numbers have been great lately. He's been doing a lot more than just scoring, and normally we think of Bane as kind of like a scoring-dependent player. It's not really been the case lately. He's been getting a ton of rebounds, a ton of assists. That obviously boosts his floor and his ceiling. He's fine to go to at 8K today. Same could be said for Jaren Jackson Jr. Don't think it's the best matchup for him, but again, he's going to play pretty good minutes here as long as he avoids foul trouble and this game is competitive. He should play about 30, 32 minutes. He's seen a big usage bump without Ja this season. I think Triple J's fine. I think Tyus Jones is fine. Don't think there's any priority plays coming from Memphis either, but there's guys you could go to in tournaments here. Really tough matchup for Xavier Tillman, so I'll probably pass on him here. Dillon Brooks has actually kind of been playing well lately. He had a good game against Golden State, had a good game previously against Dallas. He does get a bump without Ja. His usage does see a big spike, and we know Dillon Brooks is a player that is not afraid to shoot. He's going to take a lot of shots, whether he's making them or not. That's the question, but even if he's not hitting his shots, he's just going to keep taking them. Last game, he took 19 shots, only shot 7 for 19, but he's been kind of productive lately. The price tag is still somewhat cheap at $5,300, so like I think Dillon Brooks is okay. There's no priority plays coming from this game, but there are definitely some guys I do like in tournaments. The ones we mentioned, Bane, Tyus Jones, Triple J, Brooks, those guys. Let's move on to the next one, though, talk about Philly and Cleveland. So this is another game that I don't think is going to be super appealing, but we'll have to keep an eye on Cleveland here. Cleveland on a back-to-back, so we don't know who's going to be available for them. Jared Allen has been out the last 2 games. He was out on Tuesday night. Don't really have any update on his status yet for this game on Wednesday. And then Donovan Mitchell actually got ruled out for Tuesday's game. I'm assuming Mitchell sat out just because it was a back-to-back and they just kind of wanted to take it easy on him. So I'm assuming Mitchell will be back for today. Don't know yet about Jared Allen. So if Cleveland's, if they're fully healthy here, there's really nothing that looks great from Cleveland. It's a tough matchup against Philly. This is going to be a really slow-paced game. I don't really like too much on the Cleveland side. I think if If Jared Allen remains out, I think that will be a boost for Evan Mobley. Now, the matchup against Embiid is really tough, and there's some foul trouble risk as well. But Mobley should play all of his minutes as center. He should be much more productive playing his minutes at center. His rebounding numbers should see a spike. So, like, he's an okay option at 8,100. But I'm not really interested in many Cleveland guys. Obviously, if Mitchell somehow remains out, then Garland looks great, Mobley looks great, LeVert looks great, but I'm expecting Mitchell to be back, and if that's the case, don't really like too much on Cleveland today. Now, on the other side with the Sixers, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, it's a tough matchup here against Cleveland. It's, again, a slow-paced game. Joel Embiid, I think, is fine to go to. He's shown that he can put up a huge game even in tough matchups, but this is not the greatest spot for Embiid. He's not someone that I'm really prioritizing today. Same could be said for Harden. The rest of the Philadelphia, like Maxey and Harris, I mean, I'm not really interested in these guys, especially in a down pace, slow pace game where I just feel like your ceiling, it's a lot harder to hit a ceiling in a slow pace game like this. So not too much interest in that one. Should be a fun game to watch, but for DFS, not going to be one I'm too invested in. So let's move on to the next game, the Kings and the Bulls. We'll start off on the Chicago side. So for Chicago today, if we're going to consider anyone on the Bulls, it's probably going to be one of their main three guys, LaVine, DeRozan, or Vooch. This matchup against the Kings is pretty solid. The Kings' defense has not been great lately. They've been playing at a fast pace. So I think it's a good spot for really all these guys, LaVine, DeRozan, Vooch. If I had to rank them, like I think DeRozan might be my favorite, but that's not really, I don't have a ton of conviction there. LaVine's the one that's been kind of, showing the biggest ceiling lately. He's been playing just huge minutes. I mean, if this game's close, you could get 40 minutes from Zach LaVine. He's been super aggressive on the offensive end. He's been taking 20-plus shots a game. Rebounding numbers have been okay. Assist numbers have been okay. I think I would probably say LaVine's my favorite, but it's close between him and DeRozan. DeRozan's fine as well. He just hasn't been as consistent as LaVine. I think his ownership will probably be lower just because, the box score isn't as pretty. But we know DeRozan's going to have big usage. We know he's going to play big minutes. And I think it's a pretty good matchup for him as well. He's fine. Vooch is fine. I think at 8,200, he feels priced about right here. If I had to rank the Chicago guys, I think I would rank them how they're priced. LaVine number one, then DeRozan, and then Vooch. The rest of the Bulls, though, I'm not very interested in, like Patrick Beverley. I know Beverley has kind of flashed a ceiling with Chicago, but not normally a guy I get excited to roster. He's a pretty low permanent producer, even though he has had 40 points in 2 out of his last 5 games. He's not normally a guy that's going to put up 40 DraftKings points. I mean, he's been like a 0.7 fantasy point per minute player throughout his career. Not someone I really ever get excited to roster in DFS. So I think that's it for the Bulls. Now, on the other side, with the Kings, I don't like too much on the Kings here. Sabonis at 10,100, and this matchup against the Bulls, I think, feels priced about right. Sabonis is a guy that can stuff the stat sheet, can put up a huge game any night. Had a triple-double against Milwaukee last game, even in a tough matchup. Sabonis is a great player. He's a matchup-proof player, but I don't think on this slate he's going to be someone that I really go out of my way to play. I think the same could be said for De'Aaron Fox. I don't love this matchup for De'Aaron Fox. I know the Bulls' defense against guards specifically has been really good lately with Beverley, with Caruso. They've got some good backcourt defenders, so I don't love this spot for Fox. I think he's just more of like a GPP play. And then the rest of the Kings, I don't see too much to like here either. I know that the Bulls have been giving up a lot of three-pointers this season, so I think it could be a kind of a sneaky good Kevin Huerter spot just because of how much the Bulls leave guys open from three. Last time these teams played, Huerter did not play that well, but he also shot 1 for 11 from three. The opportunity was there. He just really couldn't make any shots. If he can get hot from three, I think it's a pretty good matchup for him, like I said, with how the Bulls give up a lot of threes. So kind of like a sneaky GPP play you can maybe take a shot on. I assume his ownership will be very, very low. But that'll do it for that game. We can go ahead and move on to the next one. I'll talk about Boston and Minnesota. So for Minnesota today, going to have to monitor the status of Rudy Gobert. Gobert is questionable once again for this game. He was questionable last game and did wind up playing, so I'm expecting Gobert to play. But if Gobert does not play, we could look to Naz Reid. Now, Naz Reid was also questionable last game. He's questionable for today. Whoever starts at center, I think is fine. Gobert, if he plays, I don't love in the spot, but he's okay at 7,400. If Naz Reid though starts in place of Gobert, Naz Reid's going to be a great value. If Gobert and Naz Reid are both out and Luka Garza starts, Luka Garza is going to be a great value. So we'll just kind of have to monitor this Gobert news. Now the rest of Minnesota, I don't love too much here. It's a pretty tough spot against Boston. Anthony Edwards is a guy that can put up a huge game any night, but this is definitely not a matchup I really want to target him in. I don't think this is a spot where I really want to go out of my way to pay up for Ant. I think there's other guys I'd rather pay up for that we'll talk about later. So Not super interested in Ant today. Not super interested in Kyle Anderson. I know Kyle Anderson had a really big game last game, but he got priced up to 7K. That feels priced correctly, if not a little bit overpriced here. The minutes have been really good for Kyle Anderson, and he's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet when he's on the floor. He can give you triple-double upside, but again, you're paying the max price for him, and the matchup against Boston is obviously not ideal. So don't really like too much on Minnesota here, but definitely we will need to monitor that Rudy Gobert news because that is important, and it could open up some value if Gobert did get ruled out. Now, on the other side of this game with Boston, I don't love too much on Boston here. Jason Tatum is 11K. That feels like an appropriate price tag for him. I assume he's going to see the Jaden McDaniels matchup. Jaden McDaniels been a really good defender this season. Tatum obviously is a matchup-proof player, and he's one of these guys that can put up a huge game any night. But again, I don't really love Tatum on this slate. I think there's other guys I'd rather pay up for today. Plus, the price tag on Tatum is up to 11K, which feels about right. Jaylen Brown at 9,100, I think probably draws the better matchup here, and we've seen Jaylen Brown post some big ceiling games lately, especially on nights where Tatum is not doing that well. Like last game, Tatum was kind of disappointing, but Brown had a really big game. If you're not going to play Tatum, I think it makes sense to look to Jaylen Brown at 9,100, and again, I think Jaden McDaniels is going to be guarding Jason Tatum here. That could mean more opportunity for a guy like Jaylen Brown if McDaniels is doing a good job on Tatum. Again, McDaniels been a good defender this year, so I think between Tatum and Brown, I'd rather take the savings and play Jaylen Brown. I can't seem to ever get those two right. When I play Tatum, Brown goes off. When I play Brown, Tatum goes off. But I think Brown's my preferred between the two. And then the rest of the Celtics, I don't really like too much else here. Obviously, Tatum and Brown are going to really dominate the usage. So it's hard for guys like Brogdon, White, Smart to consistently put up big games. They'll flash big games at points, but when you're looking at these guys like Smart, I mean, he's fine, but not super interesting. Derek White is playable, but not super interesting. I don't see too much else here besides the top two guys. Even Al Horford, he's got a bigger ceiling right now without Robert Williams, but at 5,500 and assuming Gobert plays, don't love the matchup against Gobert. I think I'm fine passing on Horford here. So let's move on to the next game. We'll talk about the Lakers and the Rockets, and this is probably one of the more appealing games on the slate. Two teams that love to play fast, especially the Lakers. Houston, they haven't been playing as fast this season, but Houston's still a really bad defensive team, so it's a great matchup for the Lakers guys. And the Lakers are going to be shorthanded for this game. We'll talk about them in a second. But looking at Houston first, the big news to monitor here is the status of Alperen Şengün. Şengün was actually probable last game and then got ruled out. He did not want to play in. We saw them actually start Jabari Smith at center, so they went with Tari Eason in the starting lineup and then let Jabari Smith start at center. So I'm assuming if Şengün's out again, we'll see the Rockets run the same starting lineup. If Şengün's out, that really benefits everybody because Şengün's a pretty high usage player. He's a guy that they can kind of run the offense through. So if they don't have Şengün out there, we can just expect more usage for Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green and Jabari Smith and even Tari Eason too. Really, all the Rocket starters would look pretty appealing here if Şengün's out. The matchup's great against the Lakers. Minutes have been pretty good for these Rockets guys as long as they can avoid getting blown out here. I think we can expect them to play pretty big minutes, and with the Lakers not having Anthony Davis for this game, I think it makes it a lot more likely this game stays close. So I'm definitely interested in Kevin Porter Jr. in a pretty good matchup. I think Jalen Green's fine too. I'd rather go to KPJ, but I think Jalen Green at 7,100 is someone you could look to. If Şengün's out, I really like Jabari Smith. I mean, Jabari Smith has been really, really good lately. His price tag is obviously starting to get up there now. I mean, he's 6,800, but if he's going to start at center, his rebounding numbers should definitely see a spike. His usage should go up without Şengün, and the minutes have been through the roof lately for Jabari Smith. So he's another guy that I'm very interested in. And then Tari Eason I would like a lot if he starts again. Tari Eason's been a really good permanent producer this season. I know last game he did not play that well, only had 21 Draftkings points in 35 minutes, but he played 35 minutes, and the price tag at 5,300 is still low. So yeah, if Şengün's out, all four of those guys look very appealing. If Şengün plays, I think he's in a really good spot here. With the Lakers not having Anthony Davis, I think this is a really good matchup for Şengün. He should be able to avoid foul trouble, not having to guard AD. He crushed against the Lakers last time they played. He put up 70 Draftkings points against them. So definitely like Şengün if he plays. Obviously, if he's out, all those guys benefit. Don't see too much else on the Rockets, though, that I like besides those guys. KJ Martin at 5,200 I think is okay. He did play 40 minutes last game. Obviously, his minutes would be pretty secure, especially if there's no Şengün. The Rockets, they've been running a really, really tight rotation lately. The big concern with them is just, can they keep the game close? But it seems like if they're gonna be playing in close games, they're gonna try and win these close games. They were playing their starters big minutes last game. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking to on the Rockets. Now on the Lakers side, a lot to talk about here. No Anthony Davis for today. Obviously, no LeBron still. Second night of a back-to-back for the Lakers. I'm assuming everyone else is going to be available to go here. So without AD and without LeBron, I mean, we can expect like massive usage for D'Angelo Russell. This is one of the best possible matchups as well against Houston. Houston's been a great matchup for guards this season. D'Angelo Russell's in a great spot here. I know the price tag went up to $7,700, but you could argue with the role that he's going to have, he should probably be like $9K. I mean, he's going to have great usage. He should be taking a ton of shots. The offense is going to run through him. So really like D'Angelo Russell today. Don't know if Dennis Schroeder really gets much of a bump. You know, he's just going to play kind of like the backup point guard minutes. I don't think he's super appealing here. I think Jared Vanderbilt's minutes become more secure without Anthony Davis. Now, he is $5,900, so he's not like super cheap. So, you know, since he is priced up to $5,900, I wouldn't consider Vanderbilt a great option today, but I think he is at least playable. And then, you know, Malik Beasley, I think, is going to pick up more usage here. It's a great matchup for him. The Rockets have been giving up a lot of three-pointers this season, so I think Malik Beasley's in a really good spot. He should be, you know, the number 2 option on offense behind D'Angelo Russell. So I like Malik Beasley a lot. And then the bigs from the Lakers, you know, Rui Hachimura and Wenyen Gabriel, these guys are going to pick up some more minutes as well. I'm assuming that Wenyen Gabriel starts at center, and he's only $3,700. He's got power forward and center eligibility. He's going to be a really good value play. He's been a pretty good permanent producer this season, especially when he plays his minutes at center. So really like Wenyen Gabriel today for value. I think Rui Hachimura should pick up more minutes as well. He'll probably play mid to high 20s minutes. He's definitely in play for value too at $4,500. And then the rest of these guys, like, you know, Austin Reeves coming off the bench is playable. Troy Brown's playable, but my favorite plays from the Lakers are definitely are Russell, Beasley, Hachimura, and Gabriel. If I had to rank them, factoring in price tag, I probably would say Gabriel's my favorite, then Russell, then Beasley, and then Hachimura. But those are the guys I like most from the Lakers today. This is definitely going to be a game we want to target. There's going to be, you know, a lot worth going to here on both sides. But I think that's it for that game. Let's move on to the next one. Talk about the Mavericks and the Spurs. So this is another game where there's kind of a lot of injuries to talk about. On the San Antonio side, it's the second night of a back-to-back for San Antonio, so we're going to have to monitor their injury report. They did not have Keldon Johnson on Tuesday night. I'm guessing Keldon Johnson plays today, but I don't really know. Trey Jones did not play Tuesday either. I'm guessing he plays today, but again, don't really know. Obviously, the Spurs, I mean, they have nothing to play for. They're tanking. Last time they were on a back-to-back, they sat a lot of guys, so we're just going to have to monitor their injury report here. I think we just kind of have to assume that everyone plays today, and then we'll, you know, make adjustments as need be. But if Keldon Johnson plays at $6,700, I think he's priced about right here. Matchup against Dallas, I think, is pretty good. You know, Dallas' defense has not been that great lately, but Keldon feels priced correctly, especially like with Vassell back. If Trey Jones comes back too, not super interested in Keldon. Honestly, I don't see a ton I love on San Antonio today. Like, my favorite play here probably would be like Zach Collins at $6,500. Dallas has been a pretty good matchup for centers. Collins is coming off a huge game, really back-to-back huge games. Had a big game against OKC, had a really big game against Orlando on Tuesday. Look, he's been good since taking over as a starter. He's been stuffing the stat sheet, been a very productive permanent producer, but the price tag is not like super cheap. He's $6,500, so we'll have to, you know, see who's in or out here. But right now, I don't love too much on San Antonio, assuming a lot of these guys that were out Tuesday play today. Now, if all these guys that were out Tuesday are out again, then that obviously makes guys like Devin Vassell, Zach Collins, Jeremy Sohan, Devontae Graham, these guys all would look much more appealing. But again, tough team to break down right now until we get some news on San Antonio. And then on the Dallas side, so we have no Luka today, and then we have a lot of questionable tags. Kyrie questionable, Tim Hardaway Jr. questionable, and Christian Wood questionable too. So Kyrie was questionable last game, did not play. If Kyrie plays today, I think it's a great spot for him against San Antonio. Obviously, without Luka, we can expect Kyrie to really dominate usage, to be the number one option on offense, and the matchup is about as good as it gets. So really like Kyrie if he plays today. If he doesn't play, then we can start to look to the rest of these guys. Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, Jaden Hardy. Jaden Hardy specifically been great lately without Kyrie and without Luka. He's been playing massive minutes, 37 and 41 minutes. He's been taking a ton of shots. He's been kind of their lead offensive guy. You know, he's been the guy facilitating, doing a lot of the heavy lifting on offense, taking a lot of the shots. So I think Jaden Hardy, especially if, you know, assuming those guys are out again, Luka and Kyrie, I think Jaden Hardy looks great. I think Josh Green looks pretty good. He's been great the last 2 games without Luka and without Kyrie. He would look like a really strong play. Tim Hardaway Jr. was disappointing last game, but I would be fine going back to him if Luka and Kyrie are out again. So this is like a wait and see game, man. We just don't really have a ton of news here. A lot of questionable guys, lots up in the air right now. But I think especially if a lot of these questionable guys are out, there's going to be a ton of value here, and there's going to be a lot of plays to target on both sides of this game. So that's going to be another game that we definitely want to get some exposure to, this Dallas San Antonio game. But let's move on to the last game of the night, the Warriors and the Clippers. So start off on the Clippers side. I don't really like too much on the Clippers today. It's a pretty decent spot against Golden State. This should be a relatively fast-paced, high-scoring game. I think Kawhi and Paul George are both viable plays. I don't think on this slate either one stand out as like core options or priorities for me. If I had to choose between the two, I would rather go to Kawhi. Kawhi just this season's been a slightly better permanent producer than Paul George. Kawhi's been playing massive minutes lately. I think the matchup against Golden State's pretty good for him. Kawhi's been pretty good against Golden State this season. Last time they played was a blowout, but if this game's close, we know that Kawhi's going to play big minutes. So I'm fine with Kawhi. I'm fine with Paul George. Russell Westbrook is kind of a tough guy to go to right now. His minutes are just really going down. Last two games only played 23 and 23 minutes. Just doesn't seem like he has it doesn't seem like they really have much confidence in Westbrook right now. Maybe he moves back to the bench. I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, I'm not super interested in Westbrook. Not really interested in many other Clippers today. So I think that's it for the Clippers. It's really just Paul George and Kawhi that I'm interested in on this side. Now for the Warriors, Steph Curry, a guy that I think is always viable for tournaments. I think the matchup against the Clippers is fine, especially if he's going to be guarded by Russell Westbrook. I doubt they put Westbrook on Curry. It'll probably be like Paul George or Kawhi. But Curry's just going to play massive minutes here. The usage is going to be great. The role is going to be great. We've seen Curry show a bigger ceiling this season. He's been contributing more with rebounds and assists this year, so that's obviously boosted his upside for fantasy. 10,500, I think he's a pretty solid pay-up option today. I don't love a lot of the spins today. Like, I think Embiid's in a tough spot. I don't love this spot for Tatum. I think Curry's one of my favorite spins, honestly, if I had to pay up for anybody. But again, there's like not a ton of value on this slate, so I don't know if it's going to be viable to really pay up for many guys anyway, unless more value opens up. And then the rest of the Warriors, Klay Thompson had a great first half last game, but then really cooled off in the second half. Still had a good game overall, but I think Klay's fine at 7,500. Just not a priority play, just kind of a GPP option. Poole, Draymond, DiVincenzo. I mean, none of these guys look great at their price tags. Draymond, I'm fine with at 6,100. We've seen Draymond be pretty good in these big-time games against big-time opponents. I think this is a national TV game on Wednesday night. It's on ESPN, I think. So, Draymond's going to play big minutes here. He's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. It's 6,100. He's playable in tournaments. But that's really it for Golden State, I think, and I think that's it for this game. So, that'll do it, guys, for this 7-game Wednesday night slate. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, appreciate you watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below if you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you're new to the channel and if you haven't checked out PrizePicks yet, again, PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks. You can use my promo code NOAH. When you sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. Check out PrizePicks if you have not yet. See all they have to offer. See if there's any player props that stand out to you. You can make 2 picks or you can make up to 6 picks, and you can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. So again, guys, give them a try. Use that promo code NOAH. When you sign up, get your first deposit matched up to $100. But that's all I got for tonight, guys. Wish you the best of luck on this Wednesday slate. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.